who are the people that you see that have the most success setting up an online course? Yeah.
Well, first, I believe there's a course inside all of us. Like, part of my job is just to, help unlock, move bottlenecks and help people do it. Like, I'm sure you, Roger, could teach on a lot of different topics. But the people that are the most successful, pattern recognition is something that happens when you spend a lot of time in a niche. I've been in this niche for 20 years. And I've seen a lot of success. I've seen a lot of failure. I've seen some modest wins, some, decent wins, and the people that really do well. I actually identified three factors that the most successful people always have in common.
Hey, everybody, it's Roger with Kinsta. I'm joined today by a new friend, Chris. Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Roger.
Yeah, man, it's great to have you here. We met at press conf this year. I think you were coming back from a hike. I was going out or something anyway. And we hit it off really well, I thought, but I didn't hear really your background story and what got you into WordPress and then Lifter LMS. So can you kind of start us off there? Like, how did you get into doing websites and the web in general?
Well, I'm an unlikely person to end up here. And what I mean by that is I studied anthropology and philosophy in college.
Yeah.
I moved into the back of my car and traveled around the country in Canada and did a bunch of rock climbing and mountaineering and long distance hiking. I'm a big outdoor guy. It's no surprise to me that I met you on a hike. So that's what keeps me sane. But to condense the story, I moved to Alaska. I spent a decade up there running sled dogs. And then after the birth of my first daughter, I decided to try to figure out this location independent work online thing. And while I was in Alaska, I started my first website. I learned how to use WordPress following YouTube videos. And I created a blog about outdoor leadership. So I managed a sled dog tour business on a glacier that you can only get to by helicopter. We had a couple hundred dogs up there, and I started as a guide, but I ended up becoming a manager for the operation, and I just discovered that I liked management, I liked leadership, and I was passionate about it, and I wanted to write about it. So that got me into WordPress. And then as I left that world in Alaska, I started building sites for clients, and I started teaching how to build sites with WordPress on YouTube, and my clients just came from watching my videos like, "Hey, tutorial's awesome. Can I just hire you to build the website?" I also started side hustling, and I fell in love with information products and coaching and stuff. This is way back in like 2008, early days. 2010 period. So I made my first courses in the organic gardening and permaculture niche.
Nice.
My wife's more expert in that area, and we ended up partnering with the top permaculture book writing authors around the world. I would drive by or hire somebody to go film these in-person workshops, and I was like digitizing it, doing these business partnerships with these experts, and that launched my course creation journey. One of those took me all the way to Costa Rica. I was in the jungle and just filming a permaculture design workshop with one of the top guys in the world. And it just kind of snowballed. And again, I started writing about it on my web design blog. And then people started hitting me up like, "How'd you build an online course with WordPress?" And I just did it with a theme off of Theme Forest that had some basic course functionality. So long story short, I started getting a lot of clients in the online course LMS space. There wasn't a good tool to, combine everything we need to do without stringing together a bunch of different plugins and stuff. And that was the birth of Lifter LMS.
Okay, awesome. All right, so much to unpack here. We're gonna dive deep into this. Anthropology. That is not a major that you hear often, except where I live in Four Corners, Colorado. We have Mesa Verde, and it is like a magnet for anthropology people. What took you into that as a course option?
Um, so I'm a big picture thinker, and I like looking at macro. So I'm a cultural anthropologist, and I went to the Himalaya. I lived in Nepal when I was in college and got deep into, some of the different cultures over there.
Sure.
I went on a archaeology field trip to Mesa Verde, Four Corners area, Chaco Canyon, Canyon de Chelly, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So cultures of the past, cultures of the present, where are we going in the future? Knowledge, what is technology's place? Tools have always been a part of humanity. These are questions that I get excited about.
Yeah.
And I've always been that kind of guy. And a pro tip out there, and kind of an interesting character thing, I kind of became a natural at marketing and sales, but I'm not like an aggressive guy. That all the stuff, all my marketing and sales ability and even product design comes from my fascination with people and culture, social psychology. And that's what allowed me to be like, hey, how does this climbing bum anthropologist get involved in tech and online business with no formal training? Well, it's because I've been studying people. I love people. And that's my skills kind of come from that background.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really dig it. All right. So now we're segueing into let's talk about sales and marketing a little bit. And I feel a kinship with you here. I've had sales positions where it's been a requirement to be very aggressive. They've taught you all of these techniques for tricking people and you know, there are times where persuasion is needed. You need to close the deal, but I've always taken the approach of, hey, you know, what do you need? Let me offer you something that you can actually benefit from. I'd love to hear more your philosophy about how you approach sales and marketing, whether it's for Lifter LMS or you know, life in general.
Well, I mean, I see marketing and sales as two very different things. There is an overlap, but at a high level, starting with marketing, I made a conscious decision when I started getting into the whole online business world to just be a human on the internet and, kind of inject my personal brand with just being me. I'm not manufacturing a character. You see me at a conference, I talk the same, I have the same shirt on, same hat. I'm still fascinated about the same stuff. But, putting the human into marketing, I think is really important. Like we always put like lots of faces on our website of real people, not stock photography. I'm constantly interviewing my customers on our podcast. I do, just regular customer interviews. I'm like an in the trenches kind of guy. So like when it comes to like, hey, what feature in the product do we build next? I know because I've been talking to these people for almost 2 decades and I'm one of them. So, as a culture and as a subculture, one of the things that happens is we kind of quote, find the others. And that's what happens in WordPress. What happens in the course creator space or the coaching space. We're in all these little subcultures, right? So if you want to get good at marketing, these are anthropology concepts. You got to learn the language, the lingo. You have to know how tools are used here. What are the cultural artifacts in this community? Like you and I are podcasters, so I have fancy audio equipment. You got your headphones on. We go to a conference, we wear our tech t-shirts and stuff. Like this is all part of the culture. And what I found from a marketing angle, if I ask them like, why'd you buy a Lifter LMS? People will say, oh, I just felt like I could trust you guys. I always want to hear, oh, it's the product, it's amazing. But no, they always say, I just kind of want to do business with you fine folks. I like your style, which means your vibe attracts your tribe. So that's marketing.
Nice.
And I can go into sales too, but do you want to jump in
Yeah.
there?
No, I think that's great. I love the tribe and vibe. Oh man, that you got to be using that with all this vibe coding thing that's going on. I think you've got a little meme you can jump in on there. I love it. Yeah, please expand on your approach to sales then.
So I'm a big learner. Like learning is really important to me. So I've read all the sales books. I mean, not all of them, but I've probably read hundreds of sales and marketing books and took courses. And I understand the classic objection handling and future pacing and all the, kind of techniques. But at the end of the day, what I found, and I also advise my customers all the time on sales and marketing, because it's one thing to build a site, it's another to sell your courses. And so they're constantly asking questions. We're big on community and stuff.
Yeah.
But the biggest sales advice I have is really that sales gets really easy when you have an almost moral obligation to help people. So if you come from a place of service and you believe in your product or your service, the first sale is you make to yourself. So if you really truly believe in that, you've qualified the lead and this is the right person for this, selling is just a conversation, and a lot of it is actually education. And it's a lot of listening and helping somebody achieve what they want to achieve. And if they're a good fit, it's all about just removing friction, greasing the skids, making an offer, being sensitive to sensitive things like budget or, concern or, perceived risk, and just stepping through all that in a non-aggressive way. And the sales just come from that. And then they tell their friends and word of mouth takes off.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And I think you're hitting on a key thing there was listen, right? It shocks me how often salespeople are not listening. The customer's going to tell you exactly how to close them, right? They're going to give you everything you need. And if they're not, right, if they're not talking to you, then that's not a good customer. That's not a good prospect. Like you need to, come back to them later or something, or just move on. But listening and then responding to what they're telling you and giving them what they're looking for. No, I think you nailed it on the head. I absolutely dig it. Switching course again, dog sledding. How did you get into dog sledding, man? That's so awesome.
Well, I was just being my travel around climbing bum, living in the back of my Isuzu Trooper. And it's really random, actually. I ran into somebody who was on the same international studies program. I was in Nepal on the streets of Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
And I was just camping up in the hills behind Boulder, and I came down to town, and I ran into my old friend, and she asked if, I wanted to come up to the mountains in Leadville and maybe live there. And I was like, sure. That's the way I rolled back then. And so I moved in with them, and I was trying to get a job as a snowmobile guide. And I'd never guided before. I mean, I'd done a lot of stuff, but I'd never been a guide.
Yeah.
And then randomly, some dude rolled up and was like, "Hey, I just bought a sled dog team from Idaho. Idaho. I have no idea what I'm doing. Do you want to be one of our guides?" And I was like, "Sure." And that's how it started. Long story short, I learned the basics of sled dogs in the mountains of Colorado, gave tours, and then at the end of that, I was actually trying to get into graduate school for a ethnographic filmmaking degree, which
Whoa.
is like a specialty in anthropology, cultural anthropology.
Okay.
And they shut down the program, so I had to pivot. So I just opened up a dog mushing magazine, and there was a job ad for guiding in Alaska, applied, and then I was on a plane in a couple months. And then I fell in love with it up there, and I stayed for a decade. And I did the guiding and managing that tour business, but my boss was a Iditarod sled dog racer. So in the winter, I would help him train for the Iditarod, and then, I did some races myself, and I really learned from the best in the world, like how to run sled dogs and understand dogs and do that. And I met my wife up there. That's how I met my wife.
Yeah.
There's a saying in Alaska that for women, the odds are good because there's mostly, it's heavy, it's a more male population.
Yeah.
But the saying is the odds are good, but the goods are odd. And luckily, we hit it off and went on our own adventure and to this day. So
Yeah, man. That's beautiful. That's amazing. And I think, maybe this is also tying in with maybe an ethos of like just showing up, right? And like being present and being ready for whatever life kind of throws at you, and you just don't know where exactly it's going to take you. As we kind of get wrapping up here, because I like to keep these pretty short and sweet, let's talk about today, present day stuff, Lifter LMS. It seems like this is a great opportunity for people to be able to, find alternate forms of income, find ways to really dive into something they know really, really well. In your experience, who are the people that you see that have the most success setting up an online course and really turning it into something that sustains itself?
we're asking a guy who studies people, so I have this answer fully ready for you.
Yeah.
Well, first, I believe there's a course inside all of us. Like, part of my job is just to, help unlock, remove bottlenecks and help people do it. Like, I'm sure you, Roger, could teach on a lot of different topics. But the people that are the most successful, pattern recognition is something that happens when you spend a lot of time in a niche. I've been in this niche for 20 years, and I've seen a lot of success. I've seen a lot of failure. I've seen some modest wins. some, decent wins and the people that really do well. I actually identified 3 factors that the most successful people always have in common. So the first one is that you're already in some way making money with your expertise and like a full-time income level. So for example, I have a customer named Angela Brown. She currently has a huge business teaching house cleaners and maids all around the world how to, start, grow, and scale their companies. She's been in the house cleaning niche for a lot of her adult life. She was a house cleaner. She became like a leader in the space, was paid to speak at house cleaning entrepreneur conferences. So she's like checked the box. Like she really knows the niche. She makes it. The second thing is what I call, it's more of an internal motivation. So there's 2 sides. One side is I want to make money online. I want location freedom and personal freedom in my life. That's fine. The other side is the people that get really focused on serving and helping other people. It's like that old Jim Rohn quote, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So if you come from a place of service and really care about your community and getting them results as quickly and easily and painlessly as possible, those people with that passion and that care do the best. And it's okay to also want to make money and stuff, but if that other piece isn't there, then the odds are way less. And then the final third piece is the people that are most successful have at least a couple years in technology. Like they've been playing around with, CRMs, marketing automation, WordPress. They're not brand new to tech. So the tech doesn't become this huge roadblock. And then the fourth bonus thing that I've seen over and over and over again is forward imperfect action. Because we get a lot of imposter syndrome, failure to launch, the course creator cave, I call it, where people disappear for like 2 years working on this project and never launch. The people that make it, like, it's not perfect, they're not happy with the sales page, they're like, oh my God, my video is terrible, but they just do it. And then they do it again, and over time, they just keep refining. So those are the factors that give you the highest odds of success.
Okay, excellent. That's fantastic in a nice nutshell there. Um, if people, when people start using Lifter LMS, do you have like tutorials or courses to help them figure things out along these lines, I would imagine?
Yeah, I mean, FUBU, for us, by us. Like we use our own product, like our internal training for our team is we have like ways to turn Lifter into an intranet for like a company to do internal training. So all that's powered by Lifter. We have a public facing academy. My biggest pro tip there, and I think every software company should do this no matter what they do, is we have the Lifter LMS Quick Start course, which is about 15 lessons. It shows the 5% essential parts of how to get set up and use the product that everybody needs to know. That one course, has had somewhere around 50,000 people sign up, and it is doubles as both a marketing asset for people who are like, hey, let me see if this is the right tool for me. They take a course as a student. They also learn how to use the tool to answer the fundamental sales question, which is, will it work for me? And they get it and then they buy it, or they get the free plugin. But it also doubles as an onboarding customer success tool. So someone just bought, take the course, and our support volume is much, much lower because we have a resource that'll show you how to do it on your own time with no wait time. So yeah, we use Lifter ourselves constantly.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Dog fooding it, the only way to go. Chris, I really appreciate this conversation. I want to have you back on board at some point, talk more about learning management and all this fun stuff. In the meantime, though, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to use Lifter LMS, if they want to just talk with you about dog sledding or ultra marathoning, what's the best ways for them to contact you?
We'll just head on over to lifterlms.com if you're curious about learning management systems in WordPress. And then I've been podcasting for over 10 years, so I have over 500 episodes on LMS Cast. So if you want to kind of nerd out on this course creation and WordPress LMS website building thing, We have a ton of stuff over there. And if you want to connect one-on-one, I'm the most active on Twitter, which is just at Chris Badgett.
Excellent. Awesome. Chris, great talking with you. This was a lot of fun. I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thanks, Roger.